in looking for the best presenters, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I'm looking forward to presenting anyway. This evening we have Colonel Regena Aye, who is the head of education and training, and then Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Dave Poland, who is the online, what's the right term? It's not provost. The online coordinator, and that's the wrong term, for level 2 in the university. And then the last of the evening, we're going to look at our new specialty track proposals. So it gives a chance to give some ideas as to your thoughts of what we're doing. So let's turn it over to Colonel Aye and Chair. Thank you very much. You know, it's one of those gray-haired moments that I had. Let's turn it over to Colonel Aye and Education and Training Volunteer University. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chaplain. Let me get my slides to appear here. All right, I think you'll be able to see my slides now. So my name's Regena Aye. I'm the Chief of Education and Training for Civil Air Patrol. And I just want to start by telling you just a little bit about myself. I'm a former cadet. I joined CAP in 1989, and I had a wonderful cadet career. And from that, I decided I wanted to give back to the organization and become a senior member. So I took a short break of service when I was studying abroad in college, and then I came back to Civil Air Patrol and quickly jumped on the command track. So I've been a squadron commander, a wing commander, and I most recently stepped down as North Central Region Commander. I've been teaching at the college level since 1995. I have a doctorate in educational leadership. I served as an academic dean for a community college for many years for online programs. And I now teach in a doctoral program in instructional design and performance technology. And that's a program where we teach people how to build training programs that improve organizations. So that works well with my role in Civil Air Patrol. So I thank you for the invitation to talk with you tonight about the education and training program and the things that we're going to be doing with that in Civil Air Patrol. So we are actually transforming professional development into education and training. So the first part of this presentation is why. The second part is some details of the new program, and finally some new tools that'll help facilitate the program, and a request for your help. So I want to share that the project really wasn't my idea. It comes from some absolutely amazing people, far smarter than I am. And actually, Major General Mark Smith, our national commander, began this project with when he was still around to become. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I live in a rural area, and so sometimes the internet does drop. My apology. So General Smith led this until he stepped up to be national commander, and then I picked it up. So we have had over 250 members work on this program actually in the last couple years. So if you think about that in the terms of our membership, we have had more members work on this project than we have in some small wings. So it's a very big project. And it's very much been the best example in my CAP career of one Civil Air Patrol of anything that I've done, because we have partnered absolutely every step of the way with our colleagues at National Headquarters on the paid staff, as well as leadership at every level of the organization. So in essence, a small group that was the size of a small wing built this program. So it was created for Civil Air Patrol members by their colleagues, which is impressive. So this was our charter. This was the charter that gave us the right to remake professional development. It's absolutely transformational. It touches all kinds of things. So this was our mission. It's only 30 words. So it has to be easy, right? 30 words. How hard can that be? Oh my. Whew. It was quite the job to get that done. So like I said, a team the size of a small wing in total has spent countless hours working towards what those 30 words asked us to do. And the impact, what it means for Civil Air Patrol, the overall outcome will be a more accessible, applicable program that better prepares our members for service to community, state, and nation, and also sometimes for what they do in their life. And it's a change that we need to sustain excellence and also to develop leadership for the future. So let's dig into the why. And this will be a shorter version of kind of some things I've talked about before, because I'd kind of like to focus on what the new program looks like more at the end. So we really hadn't changed our PD program since 1978. So if you think back to 1978, we all had rotary phones. Nobody had a home computer probably. They had just debuted the year before because we had this marvelous new technology that enabled it, the 5¼ inch floppy drive. And everybody wanted to speak and spell because it was high tech and cool, along with the Atari. And if you did distance ed, you mailed things back and forth to your university for grading, and it was really slow. But times have changed, right? This is now. 96% of homes have computers. You carry a smartphone in your pocket that has more power than NASA had when it put a man on the moon. So things are different. Education has changed. People swirl. They go back and forth from institution to institution. They go to education, they come back. They drop in. People want to customize everything in their life, right? If you go to Chipotle, they want to know how to make your burrito and whether or not you want it in a tortilla or in a bowl. And when you get ready to have a pet, you can have a designer dog. You can choose its characteristics. And you can get your TV lineup personalized through any number of services. So why not education? People want to personalize that too. People want more flexibility. And right now, over 1/3 of the students in the world take a distance education class. So that's like millions. So why not embrace that? Civil Air Patrol was slow to do that. 90% of online learners would recommend the mode to others. So that's a lot. The same can be said of volunteering. It's changed. People don't have an alliance to the same organization for their entire life anymore. People jump in and out. They want to volunteer in smaller bits. They want flexibility. They need that because they want to volunteer, they want to give back, but they need to do it in smaller bits because they have such busy lives. So times have changed. People have changed, and our professional development needed to change. Our members are diverse, and they have diverse needs, and we needed a program that gave them control and the tools to be successful. So I normally talk about the stories of 3 members at this point, Charlie, Jordan, and Pat. And I chose those names because it could be a guy or a lady in any of these instances. So these 3 members have different backgrounds. And while many of our members loved their national staff college experience or their region staff college experience, only a very small percentage could attend those face-to-face week-long events. And I know that the chaplains often struggle to be able to put in enough curriculum to get the same credit as other members would get for a week-long event. In fact, you had to go to 2 to be able to get your professional development credit because you were trying to do all the things that you needed to do for chaplains and CDIs, as well as what you needed to do for professional development. So we just needed a more flexible program. So think about Charlie as a former cadet who's raising a family and has a job and can't be at that meeting every week. So Charlie needs a program that lets him or her stay engaged while growing a family or growing a career. The second is Jordan. Jordan is the member who has a disability, who can't travel, and who couldn't come to those face-to-face events. Jordan has the heart of a lion, even though Jordan may not be able to come to those events, and Jordan could never progress because we said if you can't come to these week-long colleges, you're out of luck. And believe it or not, we've had members who have waited years to be able to progress because of those limitations. And then our third member is Pat. And Pat's that person who is absolutely dedicated to some activity. And maybe that's Chaplain Corps Staff College, or maybe encampment, or maybe it's Flight Academy or NISA. But it's something that people love, and it's the only thing that they have time to do for Civil Air Patrol. And then we make them choose between that event that is really special for them and that professional development and training. So those members needed a more flexible, accessible program. And they're some of our most dedicated, but they just couldn't advance because they were prioritizing others before themselves. They were growing future generations of cadets, or they were tending to their careers, or they met some bump on the road of life. Some might say that they shouldn't worry about progressing. They could serve where they're at. But if you read our regulations, they say that to progress, you should be serving in a way that we would want others to emulate. And all of these dedicated members are people that I would want others to emulate. These volunteers have the qualities that we could only hope everyone would have. So if you have any doubts after hearing those stories, let's talk a little bit about access. General Smith says that we are a large, bureaucratic, rules-driven organization, and that implies that we are not nimble or that we are slow to change. By the numbers, 26,000 senior members, 1,375 squadrons in our 52 wings and our 8 regions. That's a big group. And in any given year, only a tiny percent of our members could get through the levels. So if you think about it, we would have an average of 3,500 members complete level 1 in a year. Of those 3,500, plus all the people who completed it before and were still in level 2, we would only have 700 finish level 2. That drops to 400 at level 3, 150 or less at level 4, and 88 who would complete level 5 each year. Those are really small numbers. If you think about it, the Spots Award is considered really prestigious because 0.5% earn that. And I'm certainly proud of my Spots Award. But we've had about 2,500 of them since 1964. Now think about the Senior Member Training Program, the Gil Rob Wilson Award for Level 5. We've had about 3,500 of them since 1964. It's not a big difference if you think about it. So they're both really prestigious. But boy, we have a lot of senior members who could have moved up in the program. And we wonder, why do we struggle to find leaders in our organization? Well, our pipeline has some blockages, right? So COVID-19 has actually resulted in us embracing things like Zoom for our meetings and lowering some of the barriers that we put in place. So National Staff College this year, 109 senior members from across the country completed the program. This year, over 430 members nationwide will complete Region Staff College, and Corporate Learning Course, 200 of them in less than half a year because of the restrictions from COVID. So we're sacrificing some sacred cows daily. North Central Region, for example, held their virtual conference on Memorial Day weekend. If we had had an in-person conference, we would have had 200, maybe 250 members attend. Our conference had 1,000 register from all 8 regions, 43 wings, and 353 different units, plus every overseas squadron in Civil Air Patrol. That's over 700 members who are able to get credit for attending a conference because they could get it virtually. And one member said, "This was an amazing opportunity. I'm a single mother who had to suddenly flee domestic violence last year. And being a disabled veteran with no family support, I couldn't afford childcare, nor could my children withstand being apart from me for long enough for me to attend conference. This virtual conference gave me an opportunity I would not have had otherwise, and I loved seeing perspectives and achievements from other members, regions, and wings. So thank you for all the wonderful hard work that went to putting this on. I enjoyed it, and I've been able to fulfill the requirements of promotion within my social and financial confines. You made my day." That wasn't the only comment that we received like that. We actually had members who told us that they had waited 12 years to promote because they couldn't get a conference. So here's a chart that shows you some numbers on that professional development that I told you about. So the orange line is this year versus the blue line, which is last year. And this is just through July 12th. So year-to-date comparison numbers, basically. You'll notice that in most areas, we have seen a larger number of members complete professional development, with 2 exceptions. Level 1, because our recruiting is not as strong as in the average year because of COVID, and level 5. Now, if I were to update this graph, you would see a triple in the number of people who've completed level 5 because we just graduated over 100 from National Staff College. So the COVID restrictions have absolutely allowed us to give more people opportunities. So what does the new program look like? It's structured just a little bit different. So it's the same number of levels with a slight shift in the requirements. Level 1 becomes onboarding. Level 2 focuses on the individual. Level 3 focuses on the squadron. Level 4, the group. or the wing, and level 5, region and national service. And we had a little bit of a hole previously on region and national preparation. There are some shifts though. We moved the Jaeger Award down to level 2 when we study the missions, and everyone completes the first part of level 2 before they get their promotion. But all the modules in the new program are available on site and online, and members can go back and forth between those modalities to get the training they need. So even if you really like face-to-face classes, if you missed a meeting and you just missed one session, you could take it online and you could continue your professional development based on that. So modules are basically classes in the new program. Members can access the program when they need the information. So let's say you are asked to help plan the wing conference. You can do that, and you can access the lesson on planning and leading a major activity even before you're in that level. So it's that on-demand learning that our members have asked for. Lecture is replaced by active learning and application-based activities, and that's good andragogy or adult learning theory. And we also do training for commanders at all levels, transition guides for commanders at all levels. And as former commanders will tell you, that is a huge improvement. There are many of us who had benefited from some training before we took command, and that's a shift we've really tried to make in the entire program. Instructors are credentialed in a set-like system, and the details for that are on our website. Basically, you go through some instructor training. If you don't have a background in teaching, you're an assistant for a period until you're ready to work on your own, in which case we promote you to instructor. You can teach classes on your own. You can supervise assistants as they onboard and get their training done. And you have to have had a level for a year before you can teach it. Why would we do that? Well, if you just finished studying the book last week, it's awfully hard to talk about how you apply it and how you use that information. So we put that 1-year period in. What can you do in that year? You can be an assistant. So you can work with someone who's a veteran who completed that level previously, who has some great experiences to share, and you can build your skill set so that when your year's up, you're ready to teach that level as well. It also comes with an SQTR type record where you can see what you have done and what you need for the professional development that you're working on completing. And I'll actually show you a demo of that tonight. You'll get a sneak peek at the staging server, and you are the only group that's had the ability to do that. So what you'll see on 4 August is about 155 different modules of training classes, plus training for commanders. And an SQTR type record, the ability to enter credit online, the ability to appoint instructors in e-services, and the ability for us to manage the program through e-services, which is really neat. Starting in October, we'll begin working on our specialty track project, and that'll be changes in a lot more areas. We've created a new model for specialty tracks with the hope that we can cross-populate better. So if you think about emergency services, when you learn how to keep a log, you get credit for that in about 6 different specialties. And that's great because keeping a log is the same regardless of whether you do it as a staff assistant or in a different position. We want specialty tracks to work the same way. We'd like it if you gave a speech to a non-CAP audience, if you would get credit in all 6 specialty tracks that request that, because then you'll be more likely to progress in more different tracks. And that helps you and CAP. So what else have we done with the program? We've added some themes. We added the core values, safety, leadership, communication, diversity, and mentoring to every level of the program. So we've focused on these skill sets for members. Members told us that they needed to learn to be leaders sooner and that they needed a lot more communication training. We also need a more diverse organization, and people constantly ask for more mentoring. So not only did we put mentoring in every level, but we also have a steering committee right now standing up a national mentoring program that we also hope to roll out in August. We'll start asking for applications from people who want to be mentors actually in August after the conference. And I will shamelessly plug Colonel Rose Hunt's session, Mentoring Across Civil Air Patrol, How You Can Make a Difference at the national conference as one that you might be interested in. So, as I said before, this is not my idea. It's not my program. I didn't think it up. It's absolutely amazing people who built this vision. That's becoming a reality. And you can actually see about 150 of them on this slide. I would have put more, but not everyone had an e-services picture. So I could not. So when you ask who built it, the answer is members, assisted by dedicated, innovative staff and the people who work at our headquarters, because we're truly one team on this project, as we are on this slide. So I think you'll be impressed by what the team built and what it looks like. So what did they build? How did their ideas morph into what you see behind me, Volunteer University? Well, it started out more like this, and then we had some help from a graphic artist, and it became this. So it professionalized as it went through. So this is our website, and this is our new logo for Volunteer University, with the idea that at some point when we have evolved our programs, maybe we'll be able to train people from other organizations, not just Civil Air Patrol. So that's one reason we shifted from CAP University to Volunteer University. And also, we shifted from professional development to education and training because many people, like yourselves, who are professionals, told us that they didn't feel honored by professional development because they brought professionalism to CAP. So we tried to take that into consideration when we built Volunteer University, where we train and equip the modern Civil Air Patrol volunteer for service to community, state, and nation. So we shift from PD, which did not value your skills necessarily, to education and training. And we borrowed that terminology from our Air Force parents. So our structure follows that of a university. I actually have education and training as my area. And under that, we'll have mentoring and specialty tracks for now. And then under Volunteer University, we have a provost, Colonel Joe Winter, who also has a long career in education like myself. Are there relations between Volunteer University and Air University? There are some small relationships so far, but we hope to be able to build that in the future. So we've done some information for briefings and things on what our efforts are. And our efforts in this program parallel some of the things being done in the Air Force and some of their training as well. So they have some programs to lower leadership training to earlier levels in their development and training as well. Then we have two deans, a dean for on-site and a dean for online, because those modalities are different. And we needed experts who had experience in education in both areas to help our instructors on both sides collaborate and operate parallel quality programs. The deans work with chairs. And so we have 5 chairs that work with each dean, and the chairs also work together. So the level 1 on-site chair works with the level 1 online chair to make sure that we keep those quality programs similar and that what we're doing is working. And then instructors. And so we would love to have all of you as instructors. So if you haven't put in an application, I will shamelessly plug that as well. We would hope to have 1,500 instructors nationwide who can teach level 1. And that's actually a level where we haven't had as much interest as we have at the higher levels. And I know chaplains and CDIs are present in our units all over the country. So you would be perfect instructors to help with level 1. And there is a link on our website, that Volunteer University website, where you can put in an app to teach. All right, so this lists the chairs. So I'll leave that up for just a second so that you can see the amazing people who are helping in that regard. And you'll note that Chaplain Poland is helping with chairs. I think he's on the wrong level though, it looks like. These two got switched on this slide. So we have some great folks from around the country, and they also have assistants. And so we'll get that on the next version of our website. So commanders, professional development officers are local campus leaders for Volunteer U. So we hope that these are the people who will be advisors, counselors, cheerleaders, and success coaches. Our members need that encouragement. Just like your experience in Civil Air Patrol is what you experience at the unit week in and week out, your experience with education and training will be what you experience with your local colleagues also. While you can do some online, you really need that face-to-face encouragement. You need that support network to be successful. So that's what we hope to do with individuals in what we are calling our local campuses across the country. So we consider every unit a local campus for Volunteer University. And we'll have a great alumni base because every senior member in CAP will be a Volunteer U alumni after they take level 1. So I have a couple questions. Just told I was added to the approved professor list for online and on-site level 1. Excellent. Chaplain Otero. We appreciate that. We need lots of great people to do that. And I think chaplains and CDIs are a perfect fit for that role. The time commitment to teach is really what you want to give. So we don't necessarily assign. We'll ask you to teach online if you're willing to do that, but you actually control how much you teach and what you teach. So every level has multiple classes within it, and you could just say, you know what, I just want to teach a couple of these things. I want to teach that module on mentoring. That's fine. You could work locally to do that. Or you could say, you know what, I want to teach all of level 1 because I love sharing my energy and onboarding new people into Civil Air Patrol. So the time commitment is up to you, really. We leave that control to the member. So this is pre-membership, and I'll go through this relatively quickly. We also created 3 steps that you can do with new members, and we created content to go over with new senior members who are interested in joining the program. So we think that's helpful as well. Level 1, this is the content for it. Not a lot of changes, except we brought it down to 4 to 6 hours. General Smith wanted that to be faster, so we tried to take care of that. So it's just onboarding, just what you need to get engaged. And the equivalency column tells you how you get credit for some of these things from different things you may have done in your CAP career. Level 2 has 4 paths, so it's actually more complex than it is now, but it better meets the needs of members. So you can take a path for a new member who doesn't have a background that gets them an advanced grade. You can take a path that's specialized for current or former military. You can take a path for former cadets, or you can take a path for professionals who will receive advanced grade. And that's probably the path that our chaplains, many of them, will take. And so that just values what you bring to CAP, and each of those paths has slightly different classes. So if you're the former military person, you don't need an hour-long class on CAP's uniforms. You really just need to know what's different about that Civil Air Patrol uniform versus that Navy uniform I wore my entire career, or that Air Force uniform I wore. So for former military, the uniforms class is really 15 minutes. For a new member off the street who has none of those experiences, the uniform class is an hour. So we really tried to value that a little bit better. Military personnel take a class called Bringing Your Service to Civil Air Patrol, and one on Leading Volunteers. That's a little bit different than former cadets who take one called Going from Cadet Leadership to Senior Followership. So you'll see some slight differences. You'll also see a tier system in the equivalency column. This is for military personnel. So tier 1 is basically, I graduated from basic training. I was in the military. That qualifies you for this path. And from there, we have 5 tiers that get you different levels, different numbers of modules in different levels. So just keep an eye out for that, for what people get credit for on these various slides. So this is the former cadet path. So former cadets get credit for various modules. It's a little bit different than what they received before, because we can't give credit for an entire level to anybody, because they're just things you don't know. You know, you may bring great experiences from the military, but you won't know some of the CAP things like the Board of Governors or that kind of thing. This is that professional path where you get some advanced grade. And we actually have a class called Advanced Grade and Expectations so that you can wear it more confidently after you put that grade on. We also incorporated classes that you'll see at the bottom of the slide on the NCOs, because right now some people struggle to work with the NCOs and to know what their role is. So we actually put a class on the history, their role, and how they work with leadership into the program for everyone. And this is that new member track. So in this track, we have leadership fundamentals, we have followership, basic drill, those types of things, whereas the other programs had slightly different classes. This is level 3, and you'll notice at the bottom of the slide, we have squadron commander training electives. That's different because we went ahead and put command training in each of the levels. So you don't have to apply for it separately. You can learn that before you need it. And we think a lot of people will go ahead and take it. At least they told us that they would be interested in doing so. So that gives them a little bit more access to leadership training earlier in their career. And here you'll notice that various schools, including the Chaplains Core Region Staff College, get you credit for different things. So here it's the core values module in this level. And some of the others, it's things like conflict resolution, conflict management, membership issues, and valuing volunteers. This is level 4. Here's where you can see conflict management, the core values in this one, and valuing volunteers are all credited for people who have Chaplain Core Region Staff College on their e-services record. And then here's level 5. And at level 5, we we also have region commander electives. Yes, you can go back and just complete the electives if you wish. We have those in a separate path, so you can choose that in e-services. Absolutely. Yep. All right. And then this is level 5 with the region commander electives at the bottom. And this is the chart that shows you, and I'm sorry it's really small, it's in the new reg, which is on the preview page on e-services and on the website. But this is what tells you what level of credit you get for your tier for your military service for all those slides. So you can find your military schools on this list and you can see what tier they are. Timelines, I won't spend much time at all on this because honestly, most of them are done. Basically, we're ending this month in the next couple days. We're entering credit for folks, and then on 4 August, we'll start the new program. Grandfathering, always a difficult topic when we have a new program. We have a relatively short grandfather period. It's not meant to help people who banked some training. It's really meant to help you finish your current level and then switch over to the new program. So if you're in level 1, we're just switching you over because it's really hard to go from a course to individual modules. If you're in level 2 and you have the 2 key courses, SLS and Officer Basic course, we will give you 3 months to finish. That's half as much time as you need to get your specialty track rating at that level. If you don't have SLS and OBC because you can't complete them, we just we just put you in the new program basically. If you have CLC at level 3, then you get 6 months on the legacy side. And at the level 4 and 5, it's 9 months if you have the key course. And if you don't have that key course at any level, you'll just switch to the new program. Sometimes people think they have to start over completely when they switch. It's not actually the case. While you wouldn't be able to carry over your region staff college credit if you didn't complete in time, your time in service, your specialty track rating, your presentation, your conference attendance, all those other things still count. So it's really not going back to square one. So this is how the new requirements shift. And you can see the things in gold changed a little bit. Most of them didn't change a lot. If you look at the achievement column, those are just naming convention changes. The same in the PD column because we changed the name to modules. The difference here for staff time is 1 year has to be at the group or higher sometime in your career. We moved duty position selection and specialty track to level 2 because members told us that they felt too rushed to make that decision. They wanted to know a little bit more about CAP before they had to choose a duty assignment and a specialty track. We have mentoring a member through level 1 in level 3. These changed because you can serve as an instructor at Volunteer U to get your staff credit for promotion. So just some small changes with some. If we've already completed a level, could we go back to a previous one to retake electives? Yes. For 5, if we've been working on air command and staff, do we have a grandfather to finish? 9 months. Yep. Okay. So instructor qualifications, I think I mentioned this earlier. You have to have achieved the level. You have to have had it for a year. You have to have approval for your chain of command. And there is the possibility for a waiver. So let's say we had the opportunity to have General Lorenz speak on leadership. We could waive him as an instructor and make sure people receive credit for hearing his lecture. We could do the same thing for CAP members. We did write that into the system. Every instructor does training. We focus on several things, including constructive feedback, how to facilitate discussions, both on-site and online, and delivering instruction to volunteers, because it is a little bit different, as well as how to do some things in Axis, which is the LMS that Civil Air Patrol uses. Also grading, questions and responses, and then the instructor to student ratio. So we wanted a really good student to instructor ratio. If you take online, we want you to have a lot of personal attention. So we're assigning 4 instructors to each cohort of 25 online students. And we're doing that to make sure that we have great coverage and that you get great attention as you progress in those online classes, because that's really key for student satisfaction. You can certainly get a copy of the slide deck. These are sample schedules, and I'll go through these really quickly because they're also posted on the Volunteer U website. So this is how you could do level 3 over 2 years. And since most members will stay in level 3 for 2 years, you can spread that training out. So this is how you could do it by teaching quarterly classes. This is how you could do it by teaching 1 class a month. So you would choose the 3rd Tuesday to be Senior Member Education and Training Night, and you would offer 1 class. And a squadron could get their members through every class in level 3 over that 2-year period. Then this is if you wanted to do a twice yearly event that's like a 2-day or a 3-day weekend event. So we have a couple schedules for that. And then this is how you could do it in a week long. And I know I said we didn't need these week-long events, but what do we have that are a week long that senior members often go to and are often not as engaged as they might like to be at, or maybe make a long trip to, that they then have to make another long trip back to a week later? Anybody have any ideas in the chat box? Encampments, that's right, excellent. So you could offer senior member training at your encampment while the cadets are in classes, and you could get a lot of people's education and training done. So again, we tried to build a really flexible program. This is an option where you map it by responsibility, like the units will teach this, the groups will teach that, and the wing will teach this, because maybe we have trouble with our CAC, or we have trouble with finance, or that kind of thing. And this is another responsibility mapping approach where you can divide it up and have different people teach. And this includes an online option. So new tools, I told you there'd be some new tools. This is actually what the new tools look like in eServices. So you have an accomplishments box, a Vol U box, and a reports box. In accomplishments, you have the levels. That's where you find your transcript of sorts for what you've completed in PD. And eventually there'll be a specialty track there as soon as IT builds it. Unfortunately, that'll be 2022 before the software is there. But we'll start revising those in October probably, to get ahead of the software so that we're ready when the software is available. In the Vol U box, we have a cohort request. What's a cohort? A cohort's a group of 25 senior members who are going to study online together for a level or for a series of command training. So if you want to take the group commander training, 25 of you will be put together with 4 instructors, and you will be a cohort. A lot of good support in a cohort. It's a real successful model from adult education. There's a permissions module where we appoint instructors, deans, chairs, and others. A bulk entry field where you get to enter credit for people if you're an instructor. That's one of the advantages of being appointed as an instructor, is you can enter credit in the system and it goes straight onto their eServices record. And then a cohorts button so that we can manage assigning people to those cohorts so they can do their training. And in the reports box, this member path report tells you what a member or a group of members have completed and what they need. So you can look at an entire squadron at once and see what classes they need and what classes they've completed. So that's a tool for education and training officers to be able to manage the program. So this is that transcript page I told you about in accomplishments. So you can actually choose an ID number and you get a list of all the classes, and you can see if they're completed and when, if they've been approved. And this member has not completed their diversity, equal opportunity, and non-discrimination class. So if they do that in Access, it'll automatically shoot over here to finish this up. If they do it face-to-face, they will be able to enter it bulk entry and it'll go to this record. So that's helpful. So a couple quick questions in the chat box. Let me look at those. With a cohort, does everyone have to progress at the same rate, or can one person go over a week and everyone else 2 years? You can move at different speeds. We will have a support schedule of when we meet. Like we're going to meet every Tuesday for an office hour. If you need help, please log in and talk to us via Zoom. The 4 instructors are here to support you. Email us anytime. We'll help you with your projects. We'll help you with your homework. But if you want to Zoom through that material and you can get it all done, you can move faster. So yeah, it's flexible. For level 4, if you complete Regent Staff College, but you don't get the other requirements, do you have to take the modules? Yes, you do. Yeah, if you can't get them in that 9 months, you have to take the modules. Yeah. All right, so my next screen, this is a continuation of those accomplishments. So you can see that you have to have a senior rating and a specialty track on this one, and you have to attend a conference. The interesting thing on this conference one is you can upload a document. So you can now put your certificate of attendance or your participation letter or any of that kind of thing right into eServices to be approved with your materials. So this little yellow circle means that you can upload a document and it needs to be approved. So here's the file upload tool basically. So this is the bulk entry tool where you give people credit. And basically, if you're an instructor, you put in a list of ID numbers. You hit this magnifying glass to validate that they're all actual ID numbers. You put in a date, you choose the class, and you hit submit, and it tells you who you've just given credit for Cadet Protection Basic. So that's how that instructor bulk credit entry works. And then this is that report I showed you where you could get member path status. So for this, we're going to look at who's complete with level 1. And when we do that, we can see that none of these members have it. and you can see how many tasks they have done. This wasn't approved yet, is why it's not showing there. And you can see that these people don't have it done. You can also go the other way and see what is incomplete, and you can download this to Excel. And when you download it to Excel, it shows each individual class in the level and what it is that the people need to do. Let's see. This is that Excel spreadsheet I just mentioned, so that you can see what people have and whether or not they have it done. So helping chaplains and CDIs, how does this help you? Well, we have the ability to give you credit for several of the modules in the program for those of you who have Chaplain Corps Region Staff College credit on your e-services record. So you'll automatically get credit for some things 1 through 5 for that. Well, I think 2 through 5 actually, but because level 1, there's not a lot of equivalency there. You also get some flexibility. So as I said, I know Chaplain Makita and the folks in North Central region always struggled to be able to cram everything you had to do to get PD credit into your staff college when you had some really important things you needed to talk about and cover for your chaplaincy programs. So this actually gives you the flexibility to offer classes people can't get or don't want to take online at one of your events, but also to take advantage of those other offerings to get people credit and training outside of that single face-to-face event. So you can save the really important things for face-to-face. And I know because you practice ministry of presence, I know how important face-to-face is for chaplains and CDIs. So this lets you use your time more efficiently. And it's also an opportunity to partner. So as you roll out training programs and as you build your Chaplain Corps education and training offerings, we can collaborate so that we can continue to offer equivalency. So let's say there's a new chaplain program coming out and you'll be taking some communications classes as a part of that. We could offer equivalency for that in the education and training program. We just need to coordinate, which is relatively easy to do. So it's a great opportunity to be able to partner and value what you're doing in other areas. So how can you help us out? Share this information, engage with us, promote Volunteer You, refer people to teach, especially if you know those gifted people who have high energy, who onboard and treat others really well and get them inspired to do things. And you can apply to teach. So this is our website, and if you go there, you can fill out the app. It's looking like about 3 weeks to get command approval right now. So we have about 700 applications in the system. The chairs are processing those, and then we have to send it to the chain of command for approval. Takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get that, and then we can get you in training. So that's kind of what we have there. I'm happy to answer questions if I have any time left, and I know I have a couple in the chat box that I missed. So let me see if I can go back to those.
Colonel A, we
Yes.
actually have Captain Jessica Parsons, and I don't remember her spots number, who has been monitoring chat and takes care of the questions you missed. So
Oh,
why don't we ask Jessica, Chaplain Parsons, to catch us up on those questions.
Sorry,
By the way, she's coming up.
And I'm spots number 2013 and Megan is 2012.
I'm 1142.
So for the questions that cycled through the chat that we didn't get a chance to get to, does CAP University mean that groups and wings cannot host their own activities? Is it just limited to the online platform, or is it something that we can still do at the local level?
We absolutely encourage the local level to offer classes. We want the local level to do that. We think that local campus experience is invaluable. People need online, but they like face-to-face. And we value that and we respect that. So whatever you have the people to do locally who are qualified, you can. If you can't find someone locally, we also value distance technology like this. So in the past, you needed absolute permission to have a hybrid class done by Zoom. That's just something that we think is part of operations. So we're totally in favor of that. We hope that folks will coordinate with us so we can support their efforts. If you're short of instructors, we're happy to provide a list of people you could reach out to. I talked to someone in Hawaii today. They're a little bit short on people who have the higher levels. It's always been very expensive to travel from the islands to Alabama for National Staff College, but they'll be able to bring in instructors from anywhere in the country, and they're super excited about how that will open up education and training for their members. And I think it'll do the same for others, like Alaska and even like Wyoming. I mean, you know, North Central region has states with lots of geography and not a lot of people. So this helps everyone.
Perfect. The next question is about when individuals be able to access the chaplain-related courses without approval as a chaplain. And the same goes for CDI. When will you be able to initiate into those courses? Do you have to wait till you have approval?
I'm not sure I understand that question. So qualified instructors will get access, I think, on the 4th, because we'll get access on the 4th. Chairs have access now.
Colonel A, I think
Yeah.
really that is more of a specialty track question.
Okay.
And I'm going to tackle that, I hope, in about an hour.
Okay. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's more a specialty track than the overarching professional development, education, training levels.
All right.
And then the last question just seems to be generally about, can you start the new track now, or do you have to wait until you're transitioned after waiting 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever the case may be?
If you want to start the new program, you certainly can sign up for a cohort or take advantage of anything that's offered locally. Absolutely. So we're, yeah, I mean, we're trying to make education and training more accessible and more valuing. So yeah, if you'd like to start them, you certainly can. You can't take a level above where you're at. You know, if you've completed level 3, you'd be able to access and sign up for 4, but you wouldn't be able to sign up for 5.
Okay. And then there also seems to be some questions about if you have all of the requirements, save 1 or 2 things, you only have those few months in order to get it done. It sounds like some people are waiting for things like time and grade, or things of that nature.
Right. So let's see. I'll just look at those real quickly. So after tonight, it looks like somebody has all the requirements for level 4 and National Staff College. So 9 months to complete everything else for 5 to be grandfathered in. That's true. But I don't know what you need. You could always email me at the email address I put on the screen, and I'm happy to take a look at your record and give you advice. For the old level 3, 6 months, because you just need one more conference, you should go to the national conference. I hope you signed up because it would count. Also, other virtual conferences will count, and we're having a lot of those around the country. So don't let a conference attendance hold you back. You can get one pretty easily online. And a lot of those you can watch after the fact. So if you're busy being a minister or a chaplain because it's your holy day when that conference is offered, you can go back and get it later and still be able to complete it.
All right. And that seems to be all of them for in the Zoom. Chaplain Williams, do you have any in the Moodle?
Essentially, they've already been answered, except one of our great CDIs down in Florida asked, once CAP goes back to phase 4, in-person meetings, training, and conferences, will virtual training conferences continue to be offered as an alternative to the in-person training/conferences? Well, obviously, we're doing the training online, but will we be able to do conferences online?
I sure hope so. I'm an advocate for that. We're working right now on how to grant credit for the national conference, what will be required, and the mechanism. It's a lot of work to figure out for 7,000 people how to give them credit for something like that. It was a lot of work in North Central just for 800. So, but yeah, I'd like to see that continue because it's absolutely been a barrier, and part of what we're trying to do is remove barriers. So I am hoping that that's a sacred cow that we are done with and that we can move past. And the conferences will offer online tracks as well as face-to-face. There's obviously value in coming together, building community and interacting, but there are people who can't. You know, it's expensive. So people with young families, people with disabilities, people with religious, who need a religious accommodation because their holy day happens when every conference is planned. We need to offer something. So I am super hopeful that people will continue to do that, and I'll advocate for it.
Excellent. I think those are all the questions. I have nothing else in Moodle. So would you be so kind to send me the slide deck, and I will put that up in the Moodle, which means that you don't have to try to answer a whole bunch of emails. They can just go to the learning management system. And if there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, so happy to be able to come and join you and to speak with you on the topic. Very much appreciate the opportunity to partner with the chaplains. Always a joy. And if there's anything I can do, please reach out. Looking forward to partnering in other ways if we can, and making sure that the training you do counts as best it can for what you need and helps you in your programs as well as ours.
Well, thank you. Next person up is Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Dave Poland. Why don't we reconvene at right at the top of the hour at 00? So that would be about a 7-minute break.